Hello, and welcome to the last update before this year's Halloween. So, yeah, I was supposed to get a lot of stuff done this week, and I sort of have, but mostly haven't, because I started work pretty much as soon as I finished my actual work, and then yeah, that didn't go too well. I didn't realize that there was a cold going around at work that kind of I picked up on. I think about Sunday evening, I started noticing that I was getting a sore throat, and then that pretty much affected my voice here and there throughout the rest of the week until literally, I think, Saturday morning I started feeling all right. I'm still going to be coughing a little bit, which is, you know, you can edit around a cough. You can't edit around the tone of your voice being totally different. So it's not been as productive as I hoped, and I was really hoping that this week I could finish off a lot of the things that I wanted to do. And yeah, really all I'm going to be talking about is Halloween, because I haven't really got much planned outside of... Oh no, actually, I've got some things to talk about outside of Halloween, but we'll save that to the end. So I wanted to talk about, you know, go through the list, talk about it all again. We're just going to speed run the first 17 because they're literally finished. So Dino Crisis, Stalker 2, Dreadout, Keepers of the Dark, Sons of the Forest, Clive Barker's Jericho, Hollow Body, Manhunt 2, Story We're Closed, Massacre at the Mirage, White Day, A Labyrinth Name School, The Last Door Season 2, Dredge, Fear and Hunger, Late Homework, Obscure, Slay the Princess, and Beyond Hanwell are all finished, right? That's the first 17 days of next month are just done. When we get to the 18th, there's Who's Lila, which I have recorded, and I have not written the review for that. So that's the next step for that one. That was a really interesting game. I have a few things to say about that. After that, I had to swap out Due on the Grudge, which I wrote a Patreon post about that. If you don't follow me on Patreon, that's fine. I'll explain. I wanted to do Due on the Grudge, but the only issue with that is the fact that the game... you know, it's a Wii exclusive, which is, you know, that's not a problem. I wanted to do more games on the Wii. I like having like a diverse selection of games to talk about, but the real problem with it is just the fact that the technology behind the Wii remote is not particularly great in that game, I want to say. I think I'm supposed to be standing at least, you know, 6 feet away from the screen, and I currently, with the space arrangements I have, I can't do that without doing a massive, you know, move of loads of things around the room to try and get that set up to do it. And I was basically running into problems where the way that the control system works in the game is like you move left and you move right by moving the Wiimote left and right, and up and down and all sorts of stuff. But if you go outside of the range that the sensor bar can identify, then you're kind of locked into position moving left or whatever your last movement was until it can pick you up again. And that's not a problem too much. Like, the levels are vaguely timed, because once you've run out of battery, you just die. But the real problem was that the QuickTime events, which are very much a thing, if you miss even one of them, it seems, from the start of the second level, you're just dead and you have to restart the level. Which, yeah, that was really frustrating when I'm moving it in the direction, you know, that that it's asking me to, but the game is just not picking it up. So I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna have to be further away for it to register it properly, because I'm clearly too close. But like, even moving back as far as I possibly can from the desk that I'm at, you know, there's not enough space for me to play the thing properly. So I would need to rearrange the whole room and hope that that's better, and I don't really have time to do all that, so I played a different game instead. And that was Chronos: The New Dawn, which was the new Bloober Team game. I've completely forgot that was coming out. Really keeping up to date with recent releases. And Chronos: The New Dawn was... Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think on a personal scale, I didn't like it that much. It was much better, in my opinion. I enjoyed it more personally, I should say, than the Silent Hill 2 remake, because I found the gameplay was less of a chore. But horror-wise, yeah, it's not very scary. But like, the atmosphere is very good. I'll give it that. The atmosphere is very good. The sound design is good. I like the, you know, I suppose you could say it's kind of gory, but like, I don't know if I would really, like, I don't know, it's more mutations and stuff like that. Like, it's, no, I suppose, yeah. the story was a little incomprehensible in places, and like I have to be honest, there were parts near the end. It felt like there was an overwhelming amount of story for like the background sort of things going on, like the lore of the world and stuff like that. But as for like the main plot and why we were doing the things that we were doing, I was still kind of confused even at the end. But yeah, there's I've already finished playing that, so that's good. So yeah, it's just another one of writing that one out. A lot of this is just at the writing stage now. Schooled Against the Black Priory, I've already posted the script for that. I've just got to go through and edit that, and that's a huge RPG. So yeah, there's a lot of footage to get through with that. Post Drama, I've still got to do that one. I know I did that. I know I've finished recording that months ago, but I'm trying to do them, you know, vaguely in order so that I can, you know, do what I've done and go through the list one by one. Hollow Cocoon's finished. Fear of the Spotlight, again, not much to say about that. I haven't said before in previous ones. It's a good game. Need to write it. American McGee's Alice is one that I'm on the fence about at the moment, just because of how frustrating and tedious the game is really getting, and it's already loose ties to horror has me wondering if I should just play something else instead, because of, you know, not time constraints, but just sort of like, is it really suited for a game of Halloween? I wanted to do, like, because I did it in the same spot I did Alice Madness Returns, which I think has a way better, like, link to horror than I think American McGee's Alice has, which is like, I don't know, some of the enemies are creepy and stuff. I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about it. Like, I'll try and push through it a bit more. I think I'm only about halfway through the game. It seems to be incredibly long. But yeah, I've not finished playing it yet. The same with, on the 25th, I've got Clock Tower Rewind, where I gave it a good go recently, and it was pretty entertaining. But, it's one of those ones where you kind of have to keep poking and prodding at it until you finished it. Casting of Frank Stone is finished on the 26th. We've got, and the rest of them aren't done, so we've got the 27th, we've got Luto. I started doing Luto. I don't know how far into Luto I am, but I'm not having much fun with Luto at the moment. I really didn't think it would take as long or interest me as little as it ended up doing, just because of how the game is very abstract, which is an issue that I'm having, and it's not very good at telling you where to go or what to do or what to interact with or what's important and what isn't when it's got stuff everywhere. So I'm finding it a little confusing to try and figure out a clear path forwards when the area is so abstract. I do struggle with this in these games. And Luto has been one that I'll literally start playing and then maybe get about 20-30 minutes into it and then think like, yeah, I've had enough now, and just put it down, which is not ideal, but like, it's not a game that interests me personally. I'm a little disappointed with what I ended up with, so again, I may end up swapping that out for something that's just more interesting down the line. Resident Evil Revelations 2 is on the 28th. I've started playing that. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I like Claire's campaign, but I do like Barry's campaign so far, so that's been pretty good. I've only had about one attempt at each character's, like, episode or whatever it is, so I'm really enthusiastic to get some more of that done. I don't know how long the game is, but yeah. 29th, I haven't even started Kuon, so there's a good chance I may swap that out for something else, or, because, no, I did play a little bit of it on an emulator on a different computer, but I couldn't continue playing it on there for, yet more technical reasons with the thing just not wanting to start. So, yeah, I've kind of had to put that aside for the moment. Again, that it might be another potential one that I'll end up swapping out for something else. And then on the 30th, we've got Silent Hill F, which isn't out yet, so that'll be fun. I am getting slightly concerned that, like, you know, some of these games, you know, time is marching on, and, you know, especially if I have to, like, swap out them for other games, I don't know. I don't want to, but it's a case of necessity where if I feel like I'm not going to get these done in time, I don't know how long Kuon is. It could be an immensely long game, but if I have to swap it out for something else, then I have to swap it out for something else just to get it done on time. But the good thing is I still have a lot of time left. Technically, I've got just under a month before I'm, like, you know, up to the the grill or whatever. I don't know what the phrase, I can't think of a good phrase for you know, being on the 18th is like the next one that needs to be done. So I can, you know, I could do Hughes Lila and stuff in the next few days, and then Chronos to New Dawn in the next few days, and every time I do that it gives me another day to work on the next one. But as for the recording wise, yeah, that's more of an issue. I want to get the goal this week was to get the recording done, and all I really managed to do was finish Chronos the New Dawn, and that was about it so far, and do a bit of writing. It's not been as productive as I thought. So yeah, but I might end up swapping some of the later ones out so that I can spend more time on the early ones. So like if I know that I can do a game faster, then I might swap out Luto. Even though I'm halfway through Luto, I just don't know how much. I think I'm halfway through. I don't know how much more there is, but it's just a game that's not particularly appealing to me, and now it's got so many fragmented recordings, it's kind of a mess. So yeah, I don't know. I might end up doing something else. So yeah, I don't really have a great deal much more to say about Halloween in general, in case of, you know, because of how it is going at the moment, which is still, you know, ultimately quite well. Most of it's done. It's just the last few bits are more challenging than I anticipated. So yeah. So yeah, the only other things that I was going to talk about was I was having more ideas about stuff to do after Halloween, which would be now the new schedule. And I was thinking instead of, well, I mean, I was definitely going to think about putting more lists and stuff in like the later for actual like Halloween area for next year, to have like, you know, more special videos in that time. But I was also thinking of like doing stuff throughout the year, bits, you know, just smaller, well, not really necessarily smaller, but like things that just take a while to do, but like aren't particularly important or stressful. So I was going to do like, you know, not necessarily reviews, but like more along the lines of just, you know, examinations, you could say, I suppose, of like, you know, all of the light gun games for like Resident Evil, or like all of the creepy side scrollers, like, you know, like Limbo and Inside and Silt and Dark and stuff like that, like all of them. And then, what was the last one? I was going to look at, like, the Alien versus Predator games, because, like, you can say that, like, you know, Alien Trilogy is a horror game, maybe, and Alien versus Predator 2, like, the original. And, like, those kind of ones would be interesting to have a go at, and just, like, you know, just put them in a big list of stuff that's available, you know, to be, like, yeah, looking at these games and talking about the horror elements in them. I thought that might be fun to do every now and then, to, like, you know, add more stuff to just the regular reviews. You know, I do still want to spice up the thing without making, you know, what I'm doing now for Halloween like the main goal of the entire year. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say at the moment. There's not really been a huge number of developments as of late. The last update pretty much covered most of it, and not a great deal has ended up changing besides me getting a few more reviews done. So yeah, any major changes to the schedule, which I feel like there probably is going to end up being at least one or two, is going to end up being written on Patreon. And again, the welcome to Patreon post will have, I'll just update it, you know, to say, you know, what's going in the slot instead. So yeah, it's just a case of, you know, there's still lots of time left. There's just a lot of management left to do at this point, so, you know, better get on with it. So, yeah, I will see everyone later. Thank you for watching and tolerating me up until this point, and I really hope that this year's Halloween turns out as good as I want it to, since it's going to be the last one like this. So, yeah, see you all later.